had some break-ins in my neighborhood, and there's a real suspicious guy. It's Retrieve Circle. The best address I can give you is 111 Retrieve Circle. This guy looks like he's up to no good, or he's on drugs or something.
Stay your ground. Stay your ground. You gotta stay.
S.O.L.I.D M.I.N.D.S. We want to give our take or perspective on this whole Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman issue. There's been a lot of controversy, a lot of racial divide, a lot of talk. So we kind of just want to add our perspective and hope that we can bring or shed some new light or a different angle on all the talk about Trayvon Martin and what it means for America. So, Christina, how do you feel about the verdict, first of all?
Not surprised. Can't even say that I'm disappointed because, you know, this is a recurring issue in our society in the U.S. So I wasn't a bit surprised. And I'm using it as a motivational tool to bring attention to, okay, they didn't value our life. We need to start valuing our lives, you know, so we can eliminate some of the crimes, some of the black on black crimes within our community. We need to put more focus on that, and that's what I got from it, that we need to show more value amongst ourselves, and maybe this will encourage others to value us as well.
You know, when Trayvon Martin was first shot, I said that this could have been my son. Another way of saying that is Trayvon Martin could have been me 35 years ago. And when you think about why, in the African-American community at least, there's a lot of pain around what happened here. I think it's important to recognize that the African-American community is looking at this issue through a set of experiences and a history that that doesn't go away.
So, Mr. Wiley, aka Aviola, why do you think there's such a racial divide, the disparity in the race issue concerning the verdict and just the whole issue in general?
Racial divide. I don't think there's a racial divide. I think there's just different people with different belief systems have a different take on it. Like one lady said that her wording was that Zimmerman won his case, like somebody was out to beat him. You know what I'm saying? And that wasn't the case. He did something in the eyes of the law and in the eyes of most people, especially black people. What he did was wrong. And so he was tried in court for it, just like anybody else would be tried in court for it. So it's not an issue of anybody trying to do anything to Zimmerman. But some people seem to have that take on it. They have that kind of mindset where they see it as we or somebody's trying to do something to Zimmerman, and people are in support of Trayvon Martin. Not necessarily in support of Trayvon Martin, but in support of what people believe is right and what people believe is wrong. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think, after the verdict, I don't think there's a racial divide that just automatically occurred because of this. Any racial divisions have already been there. Just it's covert. You know, it's not something that day to day people speak on or act out on. But this incident might have been something that triggered the divide where we can actually see it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you just kind of joined in the discussion, man. So I want to get an opportunity to really just kind of give your take. Like, what's your take on the whole issue from start to finish, from last year, you know, until now, after, you know, pre and post verdict? How do you feel about this?
Well, I want to start by just simply saying that I think that a case like this, the Trayvon Martin-Zimmerman case, is necessary, because had the verdict went any other way, and then we got what we wanted, then we would still be under the illusion that some of these things don't exist. Because one thing we've always known, especially in our culture right now, and in American culture as a whole right now, that people are not comfortable with this subject. People are very uncomfortable talking about racism. Even those who have been the victims, or let's say the descendants of the victims of chattel true slavery, are very uncomfortable talking about racism. And anytime somebody comes forward, like right now, what we hear being said, if you say that before, pre-Zimmerman Trayvon Martin case, those same people would say to those who are bringing it up, it is you who, if you stop talking about it, it won't exist. Or, well, racism is not, it's not about race anymore. It's not about, you know, where you live and stuff like that no more. And it's, you shouldn't talk about it, because if you talk about it, it brings it up. And then you're the one perpetuating racism. And so it's best to just keep quiet. White, or let's just say others outside of African Americans also get very uncomfortable when you talk about racism. Yet, when a case like this comes about, then it's all right to talk about it again. Because, again, if it went the other way, then we would have been walking around, okay, well, see, it is good. Everything is better. Things have improved. And, you know, and then we'll still have the covert, hidden racism that continues to happen, especially through the legal system. So, you can appreciate, now I can't say in terms of solution, the way we've approaching it, the way we approach solution, we have grown from a more angry approach, meaning that I'm glad there weren't any riots.
Right.
Because we've seen throughout town where riots make no sense, because people riot in the very neighborhoods and that they live in, and that the stores they'll be back at a week after the riot, shopping right at the same store that you just looted.
Everything from the Watts riots, the 60s to the Rodney King riots.
So in terms of everybody sending out these mass texts and mass emails on don't buy products, or don't buy certain things that supposedly sponsor Zimmerman or help pay for his legal fees, that's one approach, you know, so those who supported that don't benefit financially from, you know, or we can say that here's where we're taking a stand financially.
I mean, it's hard for me to sleep, it's hard for me to eat, because I feel that I was forcibly included in Trayvon Martin's death. And I carry him on my back. I'm hurting as much as Trayvon Martin's mom is. Because there's no way that any mother should feel that pain.
But you feel in your heart of hearts that you and the jury approached it and came with a decision, and you stand by that decision to this day?
I stand by the decision because of the law. If I stand by the decision because of my heart, he would have been guilty.
I know that you've heard some people have said, point blank, they've said George Zimmerman got away with murder. How do you respond to those people who say that?
George Zimmerman, George Zimmerman got away with murder.
Is there ever a justification for profile? Is it ever justified?
That's a good question about whether or not profiling is ever justified. Because to me, I think what's right can be a little different than what's justified. I think sometimes something can be be justified based on a precedent that's set. Something happens, you know, that same question happened when 9/11 happened, right? And so our country started profiling people who may look like they're Arab, Middle Eastern, or something like that. But I mean, damn, if you know, you blow up planes and stuff like that, I mean, and I don't know, you know, it's nobody wants to sound prejudiced, racist, or anything like that, but sometimes some things happen that warrant a certain level of concern, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And if it's not happening by everybody clear across the board, I mean, it does. But then again, if profiling is going to be justified by things that set a precedent, right, then we should be also probably profiling white boys that go to colleges, that wear glasses, you know what I'm saying, that have scraggly hair. You know, we should be profiling them, those type of people. Because who bombed? Look at Timothy McVeigh. Look at the dude that just went in the movie theater and shot up all those people. The boy that went into the elementary school and shot up these folks. You know, we don't profile. We don't start profiling and pulling over folks like that. You see what I'm saying? So, and clearly, if I look at those things that happen, I see a profile. You know what I'm saying? And so those people should be, you know, profiled as well. If profiling is going to be justified based on something that happened. So Trayvon Martin, I think the profiling was that, you know, a black young person, he identified that he looked like he was in his late teens. He also said that they always get away with this. Well, what do you mean they always get away with it? Get away with what? What are you talking about? Who are you talking about? Obviously, you're talking about young black teenager, and because you identified it. And then you follow up with they always get away with this. So it's obvious that there was some type of racial profiling.
Had he been, you know, white or some other race or whatever, he would have approached the situation differently. He may, let's just say, for argument's sake, that he did, whoever's walking around at nighttime in a hoodie, I'm going to stop them regardless. Okay, so I think his approach would have been different. I think that he probably would have talked to him first, you know, probably introduced himself. He never introduced himself to Trayvon. He never let Trayvon know, and this came out of Zimmerman's mouth, he never let Trayvon know who he was. He never said, hey, I'm the neighborhood watch guy, you know, what are you doing? Do you live here? Simply ask him, do you live here? Oh, I didn't recognize him. No, you don't recognize him because he just got here a week ago. You know, you can't monitor, you're not the leasing office, you don't monitor everybody that comes in and out of here. Of course you don't know everybody, you know, so I think it would have went differently. He may have still, you know, approached the young man and asked him what was he doing out. I mean, 7 o'clock in the evening still isn't late at night, but, you know, my 10-year-old can be outside at 10 o'clock at night, you know, that's not late. But I don't think he would have approached that young man the same way he did. And I do believe that he put his hands, I believe he got close enough to Trayvon to put his hands on him, and that's where the fight ensued. Trayvon was fighting for his life. Trayvon was the first one to practice self-defense. You know, absolutely. So where did Trayvon lose his right for self-defense? How did he get exempt from that law, you know, of of self-defense? How did he get exempt from that? Why could he not be included in that? You know, because he was the one that was initially defending himself. He was fighting for his life, literally. How do we know he didn't see the gun way before Zimmerman got to him? How did Zimmerman pull the gun out from the back while Trayvon was straddling him with his knees all the way up under his armpits? You know, you couldn't reach around and all this is going on. So you got 5 arms where you can reach for your gun, and you got Trayvon's hand is over your mouth, and all these things are going on. Like the prosecutor said, what is he, an octopus? You know, what does he have, like 4 or 5 arms that he can hold you down, bang your head, do all of this stuff, and also try to go for your gun, and, you know, bam, you had a chance to grab the gun. It's obvious that there were lies told, but many inconsistencies. There was a part of the video where Zimmerman was going through, showing the detectives, you know, what happened. And he said, oh, I couldn't find the address, so that's why I was walking through here, because I was looking for an address. See, there's no address here. And there was a house right here that had an address on the front, you know. And you've been staying here for 4 years, and you don't know one street. There's only 2 streets in this gated community.
That he was supposed to be patrolling.
You know, that you're supposed to be patrolling. You didn't know the name of the street. You know, come on, man.
I want to kind of piggyback off of what Christina said about why what happened to Trayvon Martin's rights to defend himself and apply the law of standing your ground to himself, when more than likely the way it played out was he was not the aggressor and was more the victim standing his ground. And what was sad about that reality is that historically there's always been a double standard in the application of law when it's applied to our situations. And we take the exact same state, the exact same prosecuting attorney that sent a young lady to prison for 20 years that just shot a warning shot. When she had actually officially documented with the police department the harassment and had, you know, and that basically she felt like her life was in danger from this particular individual that she ended up shooting his warning shot at. She shot the wall and got 20 years. She didn't have the right to stand her ground. So, and then of course you look at death row and how the death penalty is applied. And you'll see that although overwhelmingly when it comes to heinous crimes, the profile doesn't fit us. And yet we make up over 50% of death row inmates. It just shows, again, an imbalance and a lack of equity or equality in how law is interpreted and applied when we are the ones that commit the crime as opposed to being victims of it. The exact same thing with the whole crack and cocaine disparity, and how forever we fought that to try to get, again, more equitable sentencing, because one form of the drug were predominantly used by people of color and was a cheaper drug. So of course we flooded the prison system based on the inequality in the law and the interpretation of the law. So historically, unfortunately, we haven't had the right to stand our ground because the law is always interpreted differently when it applies to us.
The very best thing to come out of this case, the very best thing, again, it was necessary to create action, to create proactivity, something that we've always lost every time a Zimmerman case will happen. We'll fall back we'll get active for a good month or two afterwards, and then we'll fall back on our efforts. And now there is no longer, why isn't it being addressed before the Zimmerman Trayvon Martin cases? You know, and so the very best thing to happen is to get leaders talking again. There's no coincidence who the penitentiaries are filled with mostly minorities. It's already been said that the white population in America uses more drugs and deals in drugs more than minorities. However, the majority of those charged with drug offenses are minorities. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, so we already understand we're not going to be dealt with fairly in the courts. In the Trayvon Martin case, we're used to police. We're used to police abusing their power and getting away with several incidents of brutality and murder. Over the past decade, we've seen several individuals who are not badge holders getting away with unprecedented murder or unwarranted murder. In the case of Joe Horn, two blacks, two dark-skinned, I don't know if we want to call these African Americans because I think they were Dominicans. However, clearly, two black young men shot in the back and the man goes free. We got mad. Quandale X hit the streets. Everybody got on camera, said they do, and everything went back to normal. It's going to go back to normal after this case. You know, hopefully, yes, it sparked a few people to say, you know what, I'm going to get into law and challenge this stuff. I'm going to get into law enforcement and challenge this stuff. That's the best. That's the most we can ask for, except for asking more of us or people that are concerned to bring our resources and our money together to create institutions that will help kill the stereotypes and help people not live lives that can lead to those instances. You know, that's what we can do. But
D, my question is this: why do you think that it always takes a headliner like Emmett Till, Trayvon Martin? Because those are actually great parallels in terms of being a catalyst to start this whole movement, this whole eye-opening Rodney King, you know, which was of course the first time it was ever recorded.
Yeah.
But how many more before it was recorded that they got away with? Why does it take that to remind us?
I don't know that it takes that to remind us. I think that a lot of times what people rally behind unfortunately depends on how much play things get in the media. You said it perfectly just now. You know that there's been many. Trayvon Martin, to me, with no disrespect to him or his family, to me is simply a poster child for an issue that's been going on. And it's just a new poster, you know what I'm saying? With a new face, yeah, it's an updated version. You know, there's other names, you know, you have Amado Diallo, was shot 40-something times by law enforcement, which was ridiculous, you know. And, you know, pretty much the same result with the police who were tried for that case. You had an incident not long ago here in, what was it, Sunnyside, South Park, where a young man it was extreme excessive use of force. You had a guy in what, like 2006 in the Bay Area named Cameron, who happened to be have some mental health issues and was in a parking garage and was shot down by a police officer, and you know, no consequences for that. So, you know, there's been local, you know, rallying cries behind some of these things, and sometimes, you know, every now and again it's on a national level, like this thing with Trayvon. But I think it just depends on the consciousness of the people. You know, you can only act based on your level of consciousness. And the thing that bothered me the most were the, what I would say, kind of watered down responses to the verdict when it happened. I mean, when you look on Facebook and you see a lot of people, you know, oh, my heart goes out to the Martin family, and everybody's Facebook profile now is a hooded shirt or Trayvon's face or something like that. Well, this happened over a year ago, you know, and your profile wasn't that thin, and you didn't have comments about your heart going out to his people then, and you weren't rallying and crying at that point. And the sad thing is specifically with Facebook, is that in the next 2-3 months, your comments on Facebook are going to water down much more, and we're going to be back to the nonsense that we talk about on Facebook day to day. And Trayvon Martin will soon be forgotten until there's a new poster to put up for that same issue. A lot of people with children, I myself, I have 3 boys, you have boys. I saw a lot of posts for people who have sons, black boys, and expressing their concern. And my problem with that is, just like your question addressed, why be concerned now? You should have been concerned before this happened about your children, because we know what we're living in. We know what type of society we're living in. We know what attitudes and belief systems exist. We see it over and over and over again in the news, the excessive use of force, the racial profiling. We know that this thing exists. So for for me to all of a sudden voice concern that this issue exists, this should have been being voiced. You see what I'm saying? It should have been being voiced. Well, so another thing, we talked about the law. Christina was talking about educating, being more educated about the law. My question about that is, it's good to be educated about the law, educating our kids about the law, but when our behavior says that I'm not pro following the law, you know what I'm saying? There's not a concrete or strong dedication to being on the moral side of things, or there's not a collective idea of what's going to be moral in black culture, what are the values, and what are going to be our code of ethics in black culture collectively. When we don't have that, I mean, we can be educated about the law all we want, but are we going to use that to follow the law and protect ourselves where the law doesn't protect us, or are we going to use that to get around the law? These people, they have put out there, other things about Trayvon that have nothing to do with why George Zimmerman actually shot this man and treated him the way he did. It may be very true that Trayvon was familiar with weapons, guns, and smoked marijuana and got kicked out of school and all that type of stuff. It may be very true, but that has nothing to. It had nothing to do with why George Zimmerman was following, because he didn't know that at the time. Exactly. He didn't know who Trayvon was. However, I would say that we kind of make it hard on ourselves to drum up sympathy from the other party when they can go back and prove and say, this is why he had a concern, because this is what people that dress and look like this do. You see what I'm saying? And it no longer becomes a prejudice. You know what I'm saying? It's no longer prejudgment. It's simply, this is the profile, and it fits this type of behavior. Now I'm concerned.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Justified in my my prejudice,
right.
so to speak.
So I think that's something that has to be
okay,
addressed.
but on the opposite perspective is this, or a new perspective, fresh perspective. We also understand that historically this was done because it relieves conscience. When you can assassinate a person's character, then the violence enacted upon them becomes, they brought it on themselves. It's justified. So I would think that the media spin on this with the whole Zimmerman coming out of the woodworks all of a sudden like he's Superman, saving lives in his overturned SUV. That's the first time you pop back up on the radar. It's from taking a life to saving a life. You repackaging him, and at the same time you repackaging Trayvon.
Yeah.
And the more and more you can demonize Trayvon, the less and less sympathy I would feel.
Right.
So a lot of it is very deliberate in terms of the historical assassination of certain character, because once you assassinate the character, it's easy to assassinate the person. And if you assassinate the person already, then of course go ahead and assassinate the character afterwards, because it's like kind of like damage control. So I think that has a whole lot to do with trying to continue to justify Zimmerman's actions and repackaging Zimmerman in a new light as the good guy.
And I want to throw in on that. Y'all made a good point in terms of these are people who have mastered, from the courtroom to the media to the press.
Yeah.
These are people who have mastered the art of using flowery language to create a case. And you brought up the history. I mean, yes, in that courtroom is war. So if again, that's where money comes in. That's where money comes in, because you're talking about the dream team. What does that mean? Who can afford the dream team? Who can do that? I can't afford the dream team. So there's nowhere in the world, there's no discussion if you don't have a dream team. You know what I'm saying? If you got a court-appointed lawyer, there's no discussion. A dream team, that means they're going to go in there. These are people who have mastered the legal language and have a strong command of the legal lingo, as well as
tactics,
strategy, loopholes, law. These are masters.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're talking about people who get paid to walk in the courtroom and to make it not what it is. You know what I mean? This isn't racism. This is A, B, C, D, E, F, and I'm going to convince you that that's what it is. This is a clean, clear-cut case where an individual who is a citizen, a law-abiding citizen, who is protecting himself and protecting the integrity of our nation and
his community.
In his community.
And then we're going to change the judge 2-3 times till we get one we need.
Man, look, these are people you cannot. Okay, let's take it to the streets. You can't hate the players. Hate the game. You know what I'm saying? They played the game and they played it well.
So that brings to mind this question. Was the case really about Zimmerman being right or wrong? Or was it more about, because, and I don't know if it's legit or not, but I saw on one site that the NRA was a supporter of Zimmerman, right? So if that's the case, we know that politically, what kind of push the NRA has been showing to, you know, to exercise or bring into existence certain type of gun laws and the right to bear arms and the right to do these different types of things. Is it more of a political issue where there are unseen hands pushing for Zimmerman to be found not guilty,
so that precedents,
right? So that it wouldn't set a precedence that says, "Hey, this is why we don't want just any old citizen carrying guns around." You see what I'm saying?
My thing is this: you marched. Historically, we marched. We sat in. We got sprayed with water hoses, bit by dogs. We had a lot of strategies and approaches. For some of us, it was a way of life, a philosophy. For others, it was a means to an end. At this point, I mean, do you really think that marching is enough? Like you marched through Oaks, you were leading the charge, and those rallies took place in over 100 cities all across the United States. Are we getting the results that we desire? And is marching enough?
I don't think so. Like I said, being educated and, being educated with the right information. We go to school and, we study all of these things that a lot of stuff don't even apply to our lives, and we need to put more focus on studying things that, that are going to allow us to have tools for things that are to come. We've got to be prepared, and, the things that I see coming in our future, the next 20 years, it's not good. It's really not good. While we're being distracted with, bling and rims and, booties and whatever, they're just like doing all of this stuff, and before you know it, we're going to not only be in the mental slavery that we are now, but we're going to go back to physical captivity. I mean, it's already going on with the prison systems, and eventually it's going to go back to our rights being taken away and our voices not being heard. They will find a way to keep us quiet. Believe that. They've been doing it for centuries, and it's going to happen again. So I just encourage young people to open up their minds, get out of this, materialistic trance, that we're in. Black women need to come together, and that's a whole nother topic that I can't wait to touch bases on. But black men as well. We got to fix ourselves. I'll say it and I'll say it and I'll say it. We have to fix ourselves, and that way it'll be a stronger bond when we do get marching is great. You know, marching is great. It was a good feeling to go through that neighborhood knowing that blacks have not been wanted there. And is it a little, you know, devious, I guess, to feel that way? Maybe, but it was still a good feeling just to, you know, have that opportunity to show them that, hey, we're bringing this to your front door. You can't hide from this. You can't turn your TV channel. You know, you can't close your blinds. We're right here. So it wasn't just about Trayvon Martin, and all due respect to, you know, the young man losing his life, but I think the picture is much bigger. You know, there's the Oscar Grants, there's the Emmett Tills, there's all of these, you know, young people who have lost their life, and, you know, people that we didn't hear about, and nobody's doing anything about it, really. You know, we're not Facebooking it, we're not texting it to each other, we're not, you know, coming together. So it's bigger than Trayvon. It really is.
Okay. These assholes, they always get away. Shit, he's running. He's running? Which way is he running? Down towards the other entrance of the neighborhood. Okay. Which